What's up, guys? I'm just a gamer, and these are my thoughts on some E3 news. So, E3 is still in full swing. A lot of information about a lot of games has come out, and these are just a few bits of information that I found interesting myself. And first off, I just want to say Death Stranding, the Hideo Kojima game, is gonna be a gigantic troll. Hideo Kojima himself has said that apparently he left little messages and teasers in the trailer that was shown at Sony's conference, and I have to say I love Kojima for that reason. He's always putting little Easter eggs. He did the same thing with Phantom Pain when it was first announced at I think the Spike Game Awards. He came out and they said it was Phantom Pain, and there was a bunch of little Easter eggs, and people were putting together, and I think some people even put together that it was a Metal Gear game before it was officially announced. And I loved the way he did that stuff. So I can already feel that him teasing this about the trailer is it's just gonna make this game a gigantic troll until its release. And we're just gonna be dissecting every little nuance of that trailer just to find out what meanings he's going for. And again, he did talk about the concept of the game, about sticks to keep things away and rope to keep things together, and how that ties into the umbilical cord you saw in the trailer connecting Norman Reedus to the baby. A bunch of weird stuff, and I can already tell that people are going to dissect the hell out of this trailer now that he said that. Another thing that was great that I saw was Persona 5. That game looks amazing. And I find it interesting. I did not think... Well, actually, I did figure that the game is coming to PS4 and PS3 because it did skip that generation. Persona 4 and even Golden and that was on the PS2 and Vita respectively. And people were clamoring for Persona on PlayStation 3. So I can understand why they are releasing it on both systems. But at the same time, it kind of makes me wonder if they had to limit Persona 5 in a way to let it fit still on a PS3, which I really don't think it would have mattered, but it does bring in some questions to mind. But again, like I said, the gameplay itself looked amazing. A lot of story tidbits came out, and it just looks overall fantastic. And then the real meat of what I wanted to get into today was some information for God of War came out, and for Resident Evil 7. Start off with God of War. So when I initially saw the trailer and the boy, a lot of people were saying it was his son, but I wasn't really sure because the way he spoke to the boy and the way he referred to the boy's mother made it seem as if they weren't connected. But apparently Cory Balrog, I guess the director of the game, he has confirmed that it is his son. And in fact, this is actually the Kratos from the original 3 games, which some people are speculating that this game is actually a reboot, a hard reboot, to where it's Kratos in the sense of the character, but it's not the same Kratos from the previous 3 games. But apparently he is. He is officially the Kratos from the first 3 games. He is actually still a god, and his son is human. And apparently a main theme of the game is how Kratos is teaching his son to be a god, and his son is teaching him how to be human, which I'm not, again, I could be misremembering that. It was a lot of information that was written down, and I'll post a link down below for IGN's article, which was really interesting. But it is a very interesting theme in my opinion, because he was sorely missing that in the first 3 games. In the first 3 games, you understood his motivation for wanting to kill the gods and why he was angry all the time. But it made it hard to identify with him as a character. Again, the games themselves are fantastic and great, and I love them. But this new approach to humanizing or giving him a story to focus on the personal before he actually loses it or before something happens is super interesting and super exciting. And I can't wait to find out more. Especially if some people are speculating that Kratos will die in this game and his son will take over, and that's why during the trailer when it said knowledge gained in the corner and it said either for tracking or archery, that was actually going towards his son and not towards Kratos himself. But I also wonder if that's not the case for Kratos, because they also revealed that there will be a lot more RPG elements in God of War, where there'll be crafting and you can go adventuring. Like, there's not a straight and narrow path. Like, you can go off to the sides. I'm assuming the story will be more like Tomb Raider, to where there is a narrative and a straightforward and you can keep going chronologically, but at the same time you're in this open space that you can explore and, you know, do stuff. So I'm wondering if it's going to be like that, which would be really interesting in a God of War landscape. And they also spoke about the combat a bit, how it will still be God of War, but it will be a lot more focused. And I'm wondering what they meant by that. Like, I'm wondering if they're going to keep it to where the fights are going to be more personal. Like, there's not going to be a bajillion enemies on screen. There'll be more like 4 or 5 on 1, something like that. Not as many as we saw in the previous games. And that'll be really interesting. Of course, this is just a little bit of information I can remember. Of course, I could be remembering it wrong. I will put a link in the description below just in case you guys want to read it yourselves. And then the next thing I wanted to talk about was Resident Evil 7, which apparently they revealed that the demo that was shown in the trailer and the demo that's available now on PSN is actually not a part of the main game. It was more of just of them setting a tone, like them showing you how the game tonally will be, which is a fantastic thing because, again, Resident Evil went off into an action-y route and left their horror parts behind, which a lot of fans didn't like. So them going back to that horror is really good in my opinion. And again, it also gives you that mystery of like, wow, if this is not what the main game is going to be about, what is it about? And another thing they said that like this is a continuation chronologically. This does take place after 6, so it's in the same universe, but it has nothing to do with the other games per se. Like, they are in that same world. The events of 1 through 6 did happen, but they're not focusing on that. Apparently this is going to be a more personal story. And not only that, but they confirmed that the original themes of the game are going to be coming back. Like, there will be puzzles, which is obvious from the demo for Resident Evil 7, but there will be combat as well. There will be herbs will be back. You'll be able to heal yourself. So I'm wondering how it's apparently going to be all in first person, not just because of VR. It was originally intended to be first person anyway. So it's going to be really interesting how they do that. And they've already said that they're going to make it to where there won't be as many enemies, but they'll make the enemies more impactful. So that's also going to be interesting to see. And I really, really, really want to see how that goes. And I'm, again, just wondering, since that demo is not part of the main game, what is the story of the main game? Like they said, it's not connected to the previous games, even though it's in the same universe. So what exactly is going on? And people are speculating there might be ghosts because of the newspaper clipping. And I'm wondering how they'll integrate that, because even though you did fight zombies and monsters in the previous Resident Evil games, it was all science. Like, they were created mutations with the virus and stuff like that. I don't know how they'll do ghosts. It'll be really interesting to find out if that is the enemy or if that's just a red herring. Again, we don't know much information aside what's from the demo. All they did say was that it's not part of the main game, that the pillars of the main franchise will still be there: puzzles, combat, and horror. Yeah, which is a good thing. And that, you know, there will be like herbs and stuff like that to go around. So I'm really, really like excited and like intrigued by what this new Resident Evil can bring and how it will bring us back to its original roots of being a horror game, which is what it was sorely missing for a long time. But that's just a few bits I thought about today and that I cared about. And I'll keep you informed about anything else I find interesting. Catch you guys later. Take care. And remember, I'm just a gamer. Peace out.